Good afternoon. Thanks for coming out. Welcome to Sony Workflow Management. I'm Dan Perry with Sony. This is Chris Cole-Marr from MSC Row, Michael Potts from C, and Wei Wu from Navigator X. We're at Cine Gear, and we know that cameras are a very important piece to what everybody does. What's that next piece? What are we going to do? What are we going to do with all this media that we shoot? How are we going to store it? How are we going to archive it? So we felt it was important to address that. As Sony has kind of moved away from tape, we still are creating storage solutions, whether it's ODA, which we'll talk a little bit about, or C, which is a cloud-based solution. The idea that we need to not only acquire the content, we need to store it, then we need to be able to search it and find it to be able to use it. And that's kind of, I think, how we got engaged with Chris. Chris, tell me a little bit about Embassy Row.
Well, Embassy Row does a bunch of different productions. We do Watch What Happens Live for Bravo. We do Men in Blazers for NBC Sports, Garbage Time with Katie Nolan, as well as other reality-based in-the-field running gun shoots. And we kind of came into a problem of what to do with studio shows and field shoots that generate upwards of 6 terabytes a week. And that's we were looking to upgrade our studio facilities, and I kind of came to Paul Healy, who isn't here, but came to Paul Healy, and he kind of showed me what Navigator X was and ODA, and how that could solve our problems.
What was the way that you stored all that media?
Oh, it was on GTEx and Glyphs and other smaller shared storage devices. As well as our first archive solution, which was a single half-height LTO 6.
And then when you, so you had all of this media stored on different types of places, and do you ever have the need to go back to find clips from other shows to be able to create new shows?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we would do, Bravo would come to us and ask for, we want to do a best of show. We play different games in the Watch What Happens Live show, and they'd want to cut together some of the craziest answers or craziest times that have happened there, and it's, okay, now we need to locate this stuff. And at that point, it's, all right, go into the spreadsheets, pull out the hard drives, plug them in, and let's see what we can find.
Excellent. And then when we first started up with the Navigator X solution, how did you go about the training? What kind of training did you get?
Actually, they set it up, they did the install, and I kind of asked them to just leave me alone just to make sure that I couldn't mess anything up catastrophically. I didn't have any media on it. I wanted to go through the whole thing as if I didn't know anything, because I didn't. And I went in, and in about 2 hours, basically, had basic functionality of it and how to move things in, move things out, and also a list of questions of, hey, how do I do this?
And then how important is that from a cost perspective, to be able to get people up and running and introducing it to new people, sometimes people who aren't technical?
Oh, it's huge. To be able to have, let's say an AE comes in and they need to be able to pull things off of the archive that's just been hired for a special that we're producing. He doesn't know our systems, he gets some notes from the producers, and can just sit down after a 5-minute tutorial from me. Hey, this is where you go, this is the website you go to, this is how you log in and find everything, and then he goes. So I'm not wasting his time with, okay, you have to learn this system.
And were there ever any occasions where you go into, I'm going to archive something, but you want to have, I need to find those clips. So how do you manage that piece now?
Well, now it's really easy. Everything is indexed and parsed by Navigator X. So all the file names as well as other metadata that we're adding to it is searchable. Wei Wu will tell us more about everything it can do. It's really quite impressive. From descriptions that you've typed out are all searchable, but also closed caption files, text files, PDFs, I think. It's really quite amazing.
in a way. I think we were talking today a little bit about what's coming. I think there's some interesting stuff in on that area that's coming into this month.
Yes. So number one is when we're talking about the ingest, right? That's actually the number one step when you're really thinking about how to register the content into the system, right? So you may thinking of, let's say, watch folder. But be honestly, the traditional watch folder actually it register whatever any files you dump into that folder, right? Sometimes, let's say, for example, if you are using Mac, there will be some hidden file, DS something. Those are the files you never want to register into the MEM systems. So one new feature we coming is really the flexible setting for about the naming rule, about extension, how you control what type of file, even a simple watch folder. The Navigator X system will allow you to set up by yourself to control what type of the files you want to register them into the system, right? And the number two is we call that one concept is stores anywhere. You may use Sony ODA system as your storage, but you may still use hard disk or any other storage systems, right? Or you may still using LTO and controlled by any HSM vendors. Or you may using cloud, S3, right? So Navigator X supports all of them. It provides a front-end GUI to allow you to search, find the content, but you will not have to care where you store the content. LTO, Sony ODA, S3 Cloud, we support all of them. All right, so that's actually a big change we will release by end of June.
From your standpoint, how important is it to be able to search across different flavors of storage in different locations, maybe?
It's huge. I'm looking to actually link my New York and LA sites so that we can archive back to New York and have my editors in LA do a search of the archive that's back in New York and find it and retrieve it back to their local online storage. So being able to search across the ODA, I'm sure that we'll figure out a way to put S3 in there as well, really is a benefit of the system.
And then what about reliability of hard drives and things like that as a medium to move stuff around?
Well, I mean, we all know hard drives eventually stop spinning. I think everyone in this room has kind of had that experience. You go to plug it in and nothing comes up. So being able to rely more on my tier 1 shared storage server and then for archiving going to a non-volatile medium is great for peace of mind.
I think we'll have Wei and Michael take us through a little bit on the systems. But before we moved on, was there any questions you had on what we covered so far? Excellent. We've done a great job describing it, evidently. Wei, can you just take us through a little bit of Navigator X?
Yeah. So really, we have been talking to really a lot of customers, I have to say. When you're thinking of media operation or how to manage your media, people are really talking about, first of all, what are the solutions, right? And a lot of people may say it's MEM, Media Asset Management. That actually has been long enough, more than 10 years. And here is Cine Gear, and everybody is thinking of the production. So there is another term called PAM, Production Asset Management. And now digital became more and more important. So DAM, Digital Asset Management. And somebody also are thinking, which is actually correct, the workflow became more and more important. So workflow represents operation. So somebody even say MOM, they call Media Operation Management. And you can see a lot of M's. And I have to say, it's not really about the term, or if you really think the big difference between MEM or PAM or DAM, actually it's not. And I also have to say, all the things we are talking about, they are software. They are all really software. And also another bad thing is a lot of systems are really built years ago. And the software technologies are really changing a lot. If you look at other non-media, but IT company, what they are doing at Silicon Valley, they're really moving so fast. And another very unfortunate thing at the media industry is, I have to say, the media-focused software are not really moving that fast. And we really, by talking a lot of customers, I have to say, we analyzed what are the pain points customers are talking about. The M system, right? Yeah, you can see that. So number one is complicated operation, right? Chris mentioned after he received our system, he even didn't take a real training, but he understands how to use it. But I have to say, most of the M systems, when you have it, you have to take at least 1 to 2 weeks of the training to learn how to use it. And from a software perspective, that's really not a good thing. And I'm using Sony cell phone. I'm not an Apple fan. But it's really interesting, back to 7 years ago when I first time saw an iPhone, that's actually almost the first we call smartphone, right? Comparing with a traditional phone, that changed a lot. But I think everybody, you remember when you first time opened the iPhone box, there was no menu. That's a huge change when you like how to use your cell phone. But Steve Jobs even didn't put a menu or instruction inside of that box. He thinks when you open the iPhone, everybody should be able to learn how to use it. And how can an M system be more complicated than a smartphone back to 7 years ago? I don't think so. So one concept we built at NavigateX is we really try to be plug and play. And we really don't think you will have to take big training about how to use it, right? And number two is can't change workflow. Workflow is really became more and more important. Everybody is talking about the workflow-centric instead of MEM-centric. Keep adding feature into a product. It will only have to make the product be bigger and bigger. But that's not really good. So that's why using the workflow to manage the system, that actually meets your operation. However, if you cannot change your workflow by yourself, that's meaningless, right? Platform dependent. And I have to say, most of the M systems, they are still built based on, I think you have heard Silverlight, Flash, Java. And when you try to install at Mac, you even have problems. How can you really run the system from iPhone or tablet or iPad? But the entire operation has been changed. For all the operators, if you want to find the content, first of all, what MEM system do? Find your content. That's the number one step. Why you cannot just open your cell phone and do a search, find your content? Because of Silverlight, Flash, Java. You can never do that, right? Poor performance, right? It's really about a search. But we really have heard too many stories from the customer when they are using the old-fashioned of the MEM systems. They even cannot find their content, right? And expensive hardware and software. So basically, when you talk about an M system, and you ask what type of hardware I have to prepare, and when you receive the configuration from the vendor, it's a rack with 10 different of the servers, right? Well, why? I also don't think that's necessary. Its only reason is because most of the vendors are still using the old-fashioned of the IT technologies, right? And also the software, because it's still basically it's a database management system, and they are using Oracle SQL Server. Those type of vendors, they are really expensive, right? You can imagine if they are not expensive, how can Larry Ellison buy an island at Hawaii, right? So those are the problems. And then based on that, what should the next generation of the MEM be? That always we are thinking. That actually is the foundation, how and why we built this NavigateX from Sony. Number one is we really think it has to be platform independent. Now you have HTML5. Why you have still stick on Silverlight, Flash? It's not necessary. HTML5 can support you to just open from anywhere. Mac, iPad, anything. You should not need install anything. For users, you should just open the browser. From anywhere, you should be able to access the system, right? And high performance search. That's actually really about the most important things. Why you cannot use the MAM system like how you use Google. You type in the keyword, you should be able to find it, all right? And if you're thinking of, you find the content, you run some workflow, why you need training, right? So plug and play operation. That's another important point. And the last but not least is workflow orchestration. Because our concept of Navigator X is as simple as 2 steps. Number 1, do the search. Find your content first. We have a powerful search feature to allow you to find your content. Once you find your content, you will ask tons of the questions. Can I transcode to that format? Can I upload my content to YouTube? Can I distribute my content to my client? Or can I archive the content to Sony ODA or to LTO? The answer is all same, workflow. We built the workflow. No matter if it's archive workflow or distribution workflow, you find the content, you click it, you run the workflow. And the workflow should be as simple as non-software development. Anybody, producers, editors, you should be able to create the workflow by yourself. Based on this type of concept, we are very happy to announce we released this new product from Sony called Navigator X. And I think I really talked a lot, and I know this word, right? Seeing is not believing, right? But no matter what, you have to see it first. So I actually prepared a demo to you. And also, by the way, when I said expensive hardware and software, the traditional MAM system really need a rack. And Navigator X only need 1 server. You need to prepare 1 server, and we support a virtual machine, no matter VMware or Hyper-V. You put a virtual machine on top of your 1 server, and we can deploy the Navigator X on top of that. And for today's demo, I even just deployed the entire Navigator X into this 1 laptop. I'm really not connecting to any other like a big server behind that. It's just the 1 laptop. So I have to say, comparing with other MAM system, need 1 rack, 10 different servers. Now you can even run the MAM system in a laptop. That's how IT technologies change the entire media operations, right? So, yes. So this is the main GUI of the Navigator X. Let me just start from logout. Any browsers or from even iPad, you just type in the host address, and you will be able to open it. And it's actually a role-based system. You can assign different users with different roles, and different roles with different permissions. And then you will be able to see different content or do different things, right? And then you just need a login. Once you log into the system, the first page you see is called the home landing page. And it's quite easy. It divided this entire page into 3 portions. In the left side, it's actually organization feature. You can easily to browse, still traditional bin folder, and also another thing we call the smart search. You can create your search criteria to save your search result. And in the middle is actually how you do the operation. You do the search, like how you use Google. You type in the keyword, you find your content, right? And you can see the list view with different of the metadata. And you can sort by different of the metadata. And you can config what type of metadata you want to see. It's really quite easy. Everybody can do by yourself, right? And then we generate thumbnail. Of course, if you want to see the PyCon view, to identify your content, you just click to see the PyCon view. And without even like load content, you just single click the content. In the right side, you will be able to see the metadata. And this metadata is also customizable, right? You will be able to see any technical metadata and the customer metadata which configured by yourself. We don't control that, right? And if you double click the content, it will open another we call the detail view, which you can browse not only the video file, but JPEG files, PDF. It's just a one single page, and then you can do detail operation. So let me just introduce, not by the features, just by the concept, all right? number one I talked is stores anywhere. Right? We really can store the content in almost all different locations. So in here is a tool to help you to do the ingest called asset importer. So you can see number one, any storages, you can just easily mount them into the server, and you will be able to browse the file system, like how you browse from the Windows Explorer. And when you find the folder, find the files, you click it, you register into the system, right? And you can also set up the watch folder, and you can even control turn on, turn off the watch folder. And when the file be landed at the watch folder, they will be registered into the system, right? And number three, archive. You can even browse the archive volume. I didn't connect to any archive system, but if I connect it, you will be able to browse the archive volume from here. And cloud, right? So we have the Sony C Cloud platform, Michael will introduce later, and Amazon S3. So you can see the Amazon S3 bucket. You can browse the bucket from the Navigate-X, right? And you select a folder. Say you want to register them from the Amazon to your on-prem system, Navigate-X, right? One single page, you will not have to really care where you store the file. We support all of them, right? That's actually number one concept. We call the stores anywhere. And number two concept is really, we say, powerful search. And you can see how powerful this search feature is. I can guarantee you never find the same level search feature from any other systems, right? So number one is you can search by using this we call Google search, right? You just type in any keyword. You want to find the video files. You type in the search, and you find it. And you can see how quick it is. Any metadata. You want to search PDF, you find it. And we even generate the thumbnail from the first page of the PDF. It's not only like a one same icon. You can see the first page of the PDF, right? And you can actually keep adding more keywords, just like how you use Google to do your search. And you can see how fast it is, right? And if you really have millions of the content, the Google search will be just like a Google. You type in 3-4 keywords, it will return maybe still 10 pages. So we provide the other feature called advanced search. So you can see in here, you can actually create the search criteria based on your metadata. You can say, well, I want if the archive is yes or no, and asset type is what type of the format, right, or anything. You create your search criteria, and then you can easily save it. Once you save it, it will be saved as a thing we call the smart search in the left side. And next time, you will not have to create it again. You can easily click the smart search, and it will perform the search in the back end. Right? And you can see how fast it is again. Right? And also, index is another thing very important. For example, we have the PDF file, right? And by the way, if you double click, not only you can open the video file, but also even the PDF file you can browse from the Navigate-X page. And let's say, for example, this file, it's called nvx.pdf. Video file has a lot of metadata, format, bitrate, so you can use even the technical metadata to do the search. But if it's a document, basically it only has a name. If you don't know the name, how you do the search, but it's a document. You have the word inside of the document, right? Let's say, for example, this document, you may not remember the name called nvx.pdf, right? But you may remember which slide you want to find. For example, this slide actually I created. I know there is a unique name, a unique word, acquisition, right? So I just copy the acquisition. And this acquisition does not belong to any metadata. It's just one word inside of the PDF, right? But if you say, I want to search acquisition, you find this PDF. And it's searching inside of the document, and you can see how fast it is. I think everybody used how you search by using Windows Explorer. It takes like hours, right? But this is less than 1 second. That's the new IT technology. Help us to change that, right? And of course, the video file, for example. You have the video files. Let me find one video files. And for the editors, actually, you can actually easily mark in and mark out your video files to add any keyword or description for one frame or maybe one subclip, right? So let's say, for example, I mark in and mark out here. And I say add one more event, the title, I don't know, maybe village, right? This village is actually a title for just this one frame. Or you can actually find another frame, and then you can mark in and mark out one period. And then you can also add another event. Say I want to find here as, I don't know, garden, right? So this is actually just a keyword. You actually set up an event. You can treat it as a marker or whatever based on the time code. But even then, they will be searchable. So for example, let's just make it clear. I search garden. You find it, right? And if you double click, it actually brings you to this frame. How easy it is, right? And yeah. And it's not only that. Close the caption, subtitle, right? So for example, this file, now if you play back, it does not have any subtitle file, right? But for example, you can actually find any like sidecar. Let me see if I already linked it. No. So you can find any like subtitle sidecar, SRT file, STL, whatever, any other format, and you make a link. And now, first of all, when you select the subtitle, when you play back, you can see the subtitle closed caption overlay. And also, they are also searchable. So if you extract this subtitle, you extract the subtitle closed caption based on the time code. And you can actually search them. So for example, if you search any keyword like this, and then you click it, it will go to the right frame. Somebody is doing some speech, right? And you want to find that frame, he said something. And before, you may have to preview the entire video to try to find that frame. But now, you can search the closed caption in here, right? So metadata, index the document, marker, event, closed caption. Navigator X can help you almost search anything, right? With the search result, you can do whatever you like, right? You find this video, you can say, I want mark in and mark out. And maybe it's already archived. You only want partial retrieve this period. You can select in here, say, well, I want to do a partial retrieve. That's a workflow, right? Or you say it's actually on the hard disk, but I want to make a subclip to distribute it. You mark in, mark out, and click in here. Say, I want to create a subclip. That's all workflow, right? So also, let's talking about the production workflow specifically for Cine Gear. I think a lot of people are using Adobe, right? And Adobe really generated a wonderful idea called panel integration. I think a lot of you may have heard of that. So this is a Premiere, and don't laugh at me. I'm really not editor. I even don't know how to use Premiere. I'm just a software guy. But from the editor perspective, I know a lot of editors, you really just want to focus on your editor platform. You don't want to really operate a lot of different systems, switch from this window to that window, but the editor system, it's just focusing on the edit. It does not really help you to find the content. Navigator X does, right? If you have to open multiple windows, find in here and say send it to somewhere, that's really the traditional old-fashioned way. So this is a Premiere, but you can see the Navigator X inside of the Premiere, right? And you can log in at here. You see exactly the same thing as you see from the Navigator X, but that's the Premiere. And you can do the search in here, say I want to find any video files, right? And then just click in here, say I want to import a link from Navigator X to Premiere. You like it? Right? So this is actually how we really change the things. So that's actually really IT technologies helped us change a lot. It's not only we are changing things, Adobe is also changing things, right? So Premiere for editor, you can just focus on your Premiere window, but by utilizing the powerful search feature of Navigate X, you find the content, and now it's in here, you can start whatever. Actually, I don't know how to do your edit job, right? But that's a workflow. And again, how to monitor your workflow, right? Everything, all the operations in Navigator X, they actually represent the workflow. And you may wondering, say, where are the workflows, right? So let's say, for example, I want to upload a file into the system, right? Let me find a video file. So I find this another Word video file and say upload. And it's running a workflow, so it's already completed. And you say, where are the workflow? Well, here we have a workflow monitor feature. And you can easily monitor what happened in this system. And you can see in here, this is another word. It's called the video import workflow. And now it's in progress, 3%. So you can monitor everything in here. All the operations, archive, distribution, ingest, they are all workflows. And by the way, if just this, actually nothing will be surprised, because everybody can list up the status. Why we are saying we are the workflow system is because if you double click, you see the real workflow diagram. It's a workflow. That's actually how you design the things at Navigate X. You see exactly what happened for each step. And you can see in this ingest workflow, we pass the media info. We grab the technical metadata from the file, right? And we generate the thumbnail. And we register the asset into the system database. And now you can see that this progress bar, it's generating proxy. So for admin people, you know exactly what happened in your system, all right, by using this. And then you may ask the last question, say, how I can change that. It's actually all about configurations. So let me use several examples. So for example, I mentioned the watch folder. You can control what type of file you want dump into the system. It's just in here, a setting. And you can see the name row. You can put the extension in here. Say, I only want to register only MXF and MP4. Some like mic hidden file DS, they will be never registered into the system. And when you run the ingest workflow, you can actually config the workflow preset. In here, you can easily say, do I need to generate proxy or not? Or maybe I already have the proxy. Do I need to generate thumbnail or not, right? Which folder will be the destination folder when you register the file? And also the archive. You already generate proxy. You already generate thumbnail. Do you want to archive that high-res immediately to save your storage space? This all can be controlled by yourself. You just do a setting in here. The workflow will be changed.
So, look, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What are the limitations of the system that you see? I mean, is capacity a limitation? What are the limitations?
No, there is no limitations. Why we have to control the limitations? 10 million of the asset, we can manage it. Like users, how many users you are thinking of, right? Why? We will not have to control that.
I got a question.
Yes.
In the workflow chart, can you see the specific changes that were made at different?
Yes. This one, actually, it's not officially released yet, and we try to gather more and more use cases. And if you guys have any ideas, we are really more than welcome. Let us know. But we call this potential release item called the workflow editor tool. So let's say, for example, this is a distribution workflow. And you want to make a change, say it does not have the QC. You want to add a QC step before you distribute it to somewhere, upload it to YouTube, right? So you can actually find this QC step, do a drag and drop, right? And you can actually move this link, and you make a link from here to here, and you click in here, do some configurations, and then you go to the next. And that's actually the final release when we get. We will try to have this workflow editor tool to allow you to make change even based on this drag and drop style. But for now, in my opinion, a lot of cases you can use these configurations. right? Just to change your setting. It's very easy, and you know exactly. And the workflow will be built as still a diagram, and you can see the check mark. And even you say, do you require archive or not? You will be able to see a like switch, archive, yes or no, in the diagram. And when you see the workflow monitor, you will see the check mark if it goes to the yes pass or the no pass, right? So again, this is one package. It's all based on the license. How you search, find the content, this asset management feature, and this workflow feature, these two things made one package called the NavigateX. That's all I want to show.
I noticed you have an asset ID that looks a lot like a hash of some kind, like
Yes,
an E5 or
like
something.
the GUID ID. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's generated during import, yeah?
Yes,
And
yes.
is it possible to compare that hash so that you can do kind of a checksum verify? and make sure
Yes,
that
yes,
assets are
yes,
still
yes, we can. Yes,
integrity
definitely.
maintained?
Yes.
Okay. What other kinds of nonlinear editor support are you looking at? 'Cause the Premiere was very impressive.
So
but
we
there was
try
a lot
to,
of that.
like the end of June version release, we will have the Adobe Premiere panel. And also we try to support Avid as well, because I think Media Composer also try to have the same panel integration. And now we are kind of target, let's say if August or end of this year, we will try to support Avid as well. Yeah. And also Final Cut, Adios, they are all on our roadmaps. Yes, Avid, yes. Or maybe I think as early as August, but no later than end of this year.
And in terms of asset support, I'm seeing a lot of MP4s, but is it mostly sort of an MXF?
Yes,
kind of
MXF.
support? But
And
like-
also, by the way, when we talk about the support, because we generate proxy, you will not have to always play back your high-res. The proxy, you can have H.264, MPEG-4, and then high-res, we can support almost everything, right?
So even if
Yeah.
I loaded in a folder, the Cinema DNG
Yes.
would generate sort of a
The
low-res-
proxy, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, the transcoder, we have the Sony embedded transcoder service, but also we also support, let's say, Vantage, Rosette. So if we have your existing transcoder, our workflow management system can control Vantage to generate transcode. So whatever, any format Vantage support, we can register into the system,
Okay.
right?
Cool.
Yeah.
So for it to work within Premiere, is that a plugin you actually download and run?
Yes, so it's like a plugin. You need to like load in your Premiere client, and then you will be able to connect to the NavigateX server. Yeah.
And then when you're uploading files, I know you showed the workflow a little bit, but when you're uploading files, if the file already has metadata, that gets transferred up into the...
Yeah, to the system. Yes, yes. Yes.
So would this have access to like a NAS drive or?
Oh yeah, anything like a NAS drive or even like a media grade or even HDD, anything. You just need to mount into the server, do a CIFS or NFS, then do a configuration. NavigateX, the asset importer, will be able to browse it.
Anything that's routed to the server can be.
Yeah, can be registered into the system. Yes.
Question.
Yeah.
You were showing like to import into Premiere, you've got a link option.
Yes.
Is that just running off the server and then you're able to edit?
So yes, so link and copy, the difference is like link, but MAM has an area which MAM is managing it, right? If it's a link, we don't move even the files. Just let Adobe access whatever that area MAM system is managing it.
But it plays back like it's local.
You play back from the server, from the storage. And copy means if you have another shared space for Premiere edit only, we can copy the file from the MAM area to that editorial area. That's the difference. Yes, from NavigateX. It's not Premiere. We will do that. Yeah.
Chris, what was, when you sat down and started looking at Navigator X and the ODA combination, what was the important things that stuck out to you?
Speed of retrieval. How quick can my producers or AEs get it back and find it?
And how's it worked out so far compared to previous?
Blown me away, actually. Before I came in, I asked my archivist back in New York to do a test. A 50 gig master file, 10 minutes, start to finish, from ODA cartridge back to my tier 1 storage.
Excellent. And one of the things that we've been really focused on for a number of years now, actually, is C. The idea that the cloud-based storage is important, and we liked videotape a lot, but now we think that cloud and all these other storage mediums are necessary. So, Michael, could you take us through a little bit of C?
Sure. Can you all hear me okay? Let me just find your file system in here. Here, perfect. You see the card?
The only thing we don't make is the right output devices to be able to have transfer of output, so we have to share laptops.
Sorry about that.
We haven't made those yet. My thoughts.
If we can get it to work. It's just a PowerPoint, right? There we go.
Should have Navigator X find that for you.
Very true. I am so used to my Mac. Sorry. How can I get to? There it is. Right. So great. So what is C? And it is spelled CI, chemical symbol for Cirrus Clouds. And the concept is that we are Sony's media cloud platform. We are built on top of an AWS infrastructure, so we're leveraging Amazon Web Services as a very base level. Everything else I'm going to tell you about and everything else you see is auto-scalable across upload, processing, ingest, custom transcode, and it's all of our own IP that we've developed and built over the years. So to Dan's point, we've been around for about 4 years now. We've been scaling out and growing each year by year. What is this platform about? You have managed transfer, transcoding, storage, the ability to share, stream out, preview proxies. We go through an ingest anytime something's uploaded into the environment. So when Wei was going through the outline of NavX, there's also multiple integration points that we have with NavX, so that if you've got local on-prem and you want to get that out easily to the cloud, you've got an integration point in which you could upload out, pull down, or automate the pull down switches off of a camera. So Embassy Row hasn't started using us yet, but in other workflows, we do support the camera integration by pulling down either proxies from the camera or even high-res, depending upon what your workflows are and what you want to do in terms of trying to streamline those things. C Workspaces is really the environment that I'm going to demo in just a moment for you, and that really gives you all that visibility you need from a management standpoint, but then all the shareability you want from, let's say, executive reviews or producers or DP, whoever it might be who needs to be looking at this content in an easy to look at and manage way. You've got all those buttons pushed. You can share out, as I mentioned earlier, and for production companies, just to stick to that main use case, you're talking about being able to go and have a very cost-effective alternative to other daily solutions out there. So if you've got dailies and rushes and you're trying to get things directly off the camera in a production workflow, you can do that off the card, upload. If you're going to apply coloring and LUTs, you can do that before compress upload, so you're minimizing the bandwidth you're taking up to transfer that content, or upload the high-res, whatever you might want to. I'm not going to go through all the details here. Yeah, please.
Are you a vendor to Sony or?
No?
Sony-owned company.
Yeah, we were actually a startup originated out of Japan, and then actually we're based out of LA. Yeah, so if you don't, that's a good point. If you're not seeing the Sony name all over the place, to your point, it is actually Sony C. Perfect. And we have a few applications in addition to the sharing and very common need of providing visibility in the cloud. Our video review, image review, and rough cut applications allow you to do collaborative reviewing along with marker generation and export, PDF generation and export, and then also rough cutting, which actually creates a sequence that you can either export as an EDL or even render out as a rough cut in the cloud without having to pull anything down. You're talking about making things very simple, but also still secure. One of the things that we're proud about, we're ISO 27001 certified, so that's critical when you talk about production companies and their content. Clearly they don't want people having access unless they want to give someone access. And that's important in the way you share that content out. And here's an example of just really basic workflow. Capture, collaborate, edit, do it all again, right? Very simple, easy to take home workflows. Shoot and review. And great thing is that we're secure. We work with Sony Catalyst, we work with NavX, we work with ODA. All these things integrate together. So you've got a full workflow from acquisition to local on-prem management searchability to archiving both on ODA, optical disc archive, or in the cloud with us. We also offer archive. And by the way, we've got some really nice customers. So this is a product that's been out there for a little while, and you've got a lot of folks out there using us on a very regular basis, and at volume. For example, Sony Pictures leverages us for one of their back-end MAMs, or I should say DAM, or whatever flavor you want to take, according to Way's comments earlier. We have stored with us, well over 3 petabyte of data in just that one use case for one customer. All right, so let's get out of this and jump over to, where's your browser? Here we go. Another thing that we do, which is pretty critical, I think, in the way that you want to communicate with your clients, if you have those, or with your internal personnel, branding. So we offer branding at even the login page. So this is not our normal login. This is actually what you're seeing, or not seeing. There we go. Perfect. I'm just going to log in here.
So you're saying that we can change that upfront page right there?
You can change that by what we call a company network, which would be a large account, or by what we call team workspaces. So that login, banner branding, anything when you ship out a media box, which is our share capability, all of that is branded by whatever way you want to do it. So that's all flexible and can change. So I'm just going to pop into a team workspace here. You'll notice also on the right-hand side that there's activity. So we track all that activity. So if you need that audit log, you want to know who did what, whether they're in a team workspace and are a trusted member, or whether you're actually sharing something out, and you want to make sure that X producer or executive actually got the content, looked at it, and maybe even whether or not they even looked at the whole clip or only part of it, we give you that visibility, right? Not to be Big Brother, but truly, if you're in a workflow and you're trying to get to a deadline, you need to get the feedback or know that these things are happening in the timeline that you need them to.
How easy is it for the producers and those to access those media boxes?
So as easy as this, shift, select, here's the media box. You have options of secure, meaning sign in or not. I can make the files downloadable or not by preview only. And then here is the actual link that will generate. I'm going to open that up. And now this branded page, so again, you see the Sony logo, but that could be any logo you want it to be, right? You have complete control over that. And here's the playback experience. We also offer adaptive, so you'll see we've got flavors of 1 to 6 proxies, anything from a 270p up to a 1080p at 8.5 megabit. Again, built for preview streaming. So you've got all that benefit. You can also go to adaptive, which is your Netflix type experience, and you can also lay the time code on top. So if you want to play that back again, there you go, and you have that. So this whole interface that you're looking at here can be viewed on a phone, a tablet, any browser on almost any device. So the question is, you send the link to the producer, they click on it, they open it up on their phone, they're looking at all that content as a Dailies Rushes review right then and there, wherever they are. And by the way, we offer a visual overlay text watermark, so if it's preview only, laptop, desktop support mainly because we think phone and tablet would be a little bit scary in terms of, are you in an airport or a train station or a bus, in a car, and someone's looking over your shoulder, you don't want them to see that content, right? Clearly. But, and by the way, I'm still the owner of this, so if I go back to the tab I had open a little bit earlier, and I can look at this, you can see the activity stream right here, and you'll see this mark delivered. So it's actually telling that someone actually watched more than 90% of that video, and it would not mark that delivered if, in fact, you had only watched half of it. And also, by the way, it's going to tell me I'm in LA, I watched it on a desktop, and I also what time I watched it. So we have the metrics by which you want to have that greater visibility and so on and so forth. Okay, so back to the workspace real quickly. And jumping into really, you saw when Wei was going through the edit and clipping, right? And where you could have that clip, now it's searchable and it's local. So this content, by the way, when you're looking at it, let me just jump over here to camera uploads. So you'll notice that I had created something in here. I've got a couple of my colleagues in here. This is one of our colleagues who's actually over at the booth, and he has a NavX running. And you'll notice that I had uploaded from the camera several files here. This is shot footage just from about an hour or so ago. That automatically downloaded into the NavX that's sitting over at the booth, and now is imported into NavX. So you've got high quality proxy file that was pulled down. Now you can actually go through all that edit process locally, that happened in like 14 minutes, right? So very quick ability to be able to do those things.
How did you get the content off the camera?
Oh, the camera integrates to C via a wireless Wi-Fi or an Ethernet connection. So it can upload if you're out in the field shooting. You could just use a MiFi. Like I'm actually providing all of this right now through a MiFi, all the connectivity. So you could do the same thing with the camera. I know, we're going to just do another. Good question. So I had an interesting dialogue yesterday about the word compression. And I think it's oftentimes an interesting dialogue when you listen to someone saying that something's raw and it's uncompressed when in fact it probably is compressed in its own way. But yeah, you're right. We're not going to proxy raw, to be fair. The processing time involved with it, could we do it? Absolutely. And we can even take source files that you give to us and normalize and create a proxy for you to pull down automatically as an edit-ready proxy. We can do all that workflow as well and automate all that workflow. But the question becomes, that processing that takes up all the compute power, well, we're paying for that, right? So we need to be careful about, what is the benefit to you if we're going to process raw files? Is it cost effective? So we're mindful of that, right? We're not trying to break the bank. We're not trying to make it expensive for you. We're actually trying to be very cost prohibitive and in fact give you something that's light enough that you can do and be effective in your workflow. But we will take, file format wise, to your other question earlier, we pretty much are our blacklist approach. So we don't support uploading EXEs, DMGs, installers, Java, anything that's a programming language. Everything else you can at least upload and download. So to your point about RAW, you could actually upload RAW and download it as a transfer vehicle and share it out that way. But we won't generate proxies and thumbnails from it. We will do that for your ProRes, your MXF files, your XAVC, even 4K compressed intra and long op, and we'll also do HEVC and H.265 packaged 4K. So, all of that is possible from a compression standpoint and a proxy generation. And those proxies we're generating are H.264 MP4s. We also support, as you saw before, reading the time code from MXF, MOV, and MP4 containers, and we'll also embed that time code into the proxy files. So if you didn't have a normalization workflow already, and you wanted to adopt H.264 as your normalized edit ready, you could actually pull down those proxy files as a lighter version.
Can I specify a 3D LUT for the normalization? Can I submit a
That's
line
a
to
great.
Sony and then have that?
So that's a great question. In theory, yes,
Okay.
because we could take a custom spec from you, and in fact, if you're giving us something that you want to apply every single time, then yeah, what we do is we set up what's called a custom profile. And that profile would be applied to the workspace. So anything you upload into it, we could actually output a given spec, especially when you're talking about applying the color. Or the same thing comes true of audio. So we also come across a lot of folks who might do different things with the way that they treat audio channels. So in that world, we would create a customer element, and then that would be downloadable automatically. Yeah.
So I could attach, say, 16 tracks of audio, and track left and right would be 1 and 2, boom, and wires separated. But then if someone wants to listen to a single track, some of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, so in that situation, it's a custom element. It wouldn't be our normal proxies. We have considered providing the option for audio modification of the proxy files as well.
Okay.
But what we normally do, just to be very candid, is we mux down all channels.
Okay.
So, and that's where there's an efficiency that we put into that, because if a channel is silent, then we're not going to give it the same equal rating or ranking, I'll say, as the other channels. So if you've got channels to 8 and channels 1 and 2 are the only ones that have audio, we know that. We're aware of that so that the audio doesn't become really muffled,
Right.
Things like that. So while we were just chatting there, I jumped into an annotation tool that we offer called Video Review. And you can kind of draw on the screen here, make a comment. type, pull another tool, change the coloring of it. Oh, there we go. Being a little finicky with me here. There we go. Jump over to another part of this. Comment again. And again, the point in doing this is really not to kind of show you how badly I can type. And obviously you can play out here, pause it, you can do J, K, L, we've got hotkeys. So if you're really used to, being an editor and being an NLE and wanting to jump around that way, you've got that comfort level. You can overlay the time code, you can jump into the frames. So just like that. So you've got complete control over it. So what's the real benefit here? Well, you can add people into this to collaborate with them. It is a secure session, sorry. And so if I wanted to go add in Dan, he's our head of product, I can go add him in. He's over at the booth right now, so maybe he'll pay attention and actually write something in here. Now you can collaborate with those folks at a very granular, detailed level. And you can then export these as markers. So this is what you import in the NLE, and then you can also generate a PDF that has all the annotations, the frames, support for what part of the time code, or the frame it is, frame numbers, and what the comments were. And by the way, if you invite someone in, they're going to be able to log in on their phone, tablet, laptop, desktop, whatever it is, and be able to go and reply and respond and actually watch what it is that you're commenting on at the same time you are collaboratively. And if that's not good enough, the last thing to show you here is Rough Cut. I'd be remiss if we didn't show this because this is it's an ideation tool. So I'm going to take each one of these clips, trim from one to the other. So again, you were talking about what Wei was showing you earlier. I can do a similar thing, not identical, because I'm clearly working with content in the cloud. So we're trying to make this as light and portable as we can. And go up to this one over here, and go to the end of this one. Great. Okay, so great, Michael. That's awesome. That looks like a lot of fun. What does it mean to me? So here's your cut, hard cuts, no fades or transitions, and it'll loop. And then I can export this as EDLs, import that in your NLE, relink with your high-res source media, auto creates the sequence on the fly. Now you can go modify that. Better yet, I can render this out as a rough cut, put it to any team workspace I'm a member of. So one of the big things that we have in here that's a flexibility offering is that if you're parts of different teams, you can make those parts of workflow. So if you made a cut, maybe you're going to give that to marketing because they've got a good B-roll shot that they want to do behind the scenes with. So maybe that's an easy way to be able to share that to them. They've got the concept and idea. Maybe they're going to go do something a little bit more advanced with it now. So as I render that out now back to the workspace, and I go back to the root, you'll see that it is now rendering. It'll generate proxies. You could take this with those same clips I had before, put them into a video review session, and you basically can do everything that you want to from a commentary about the ideated sequence along with all the source clips that are there that fed into that sequence.
I think we're right at time, but was there any questions anyone had? Anyone on the panel?
I mean, kind of as a future thing, because this is all actually really impressive. I can't believe it all works inside HTML5. But like over the last year or two, we've seen some really interesting stuff with machine learning and neural networks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, as a web service, do you think there will be a point in the future where we can depend on something like automated metadata generation, or potentially even something like generating subtitles by just sort of the machine listening to what's being said on a clip? Like, how far ahead are you guys looking for what you can deliver as a web service?
I mean, there's certainly possibilities. Before I came to this company, I was actually in automated machine translation.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very familiar with NLP and all that kind of the natural language processing and things along those lines. So, can you extract, that audio, speech to text, take that, do different things with it in terms of how you apply it? We are adding in support for our preview and our video review and in the workspace for adding in separate subtitles and captions for the same type of playback that Wei was showing you locally, but being able to do that in the cloud. That's a feature set that we're working on right now. So clearly then, once we have that, could you also have a process that does that speech to text and now applies that as that caption file? So one of the things we're currently already doing is we do closed caption extraction. So when you look at historical data that you've been storing for years and years and years, and you've got old captions, but you don't actually have the data files for them anymore, or never did. Now you can actually extract that, and we've got capabilities to do that already, and then you could obviously want to be able to apply that back to watch it during play out, with whatever the video might be. And if you've got different master modifications you're making over the years because you're going back and remastering the content, now you've got also the way to put back those captions. So could it get there? Absolutely, absolutely. I think the other thing is, just explore boundaries is, what about, identification at the frame level of individuals and different objects and things like that. There's already technology out there that does that. And so certainly when it comes to logging process, we've had a logging product before, video review is almost like that, but we're looking at also adding a logging product that would, in essence, allow you to do some of those next steps and help feed into IMF workflows for mastering and all that kind of good stuff.
Thanks. I think the point is what you're seeing is Sony's not only worried about the cameras and the displays, we're worried about all of that piece in between. And thank you, Chris. Thank you, Wei. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.